Hey everybody, what's it, Fox Gaming here. So today I wanted to show you my brand new Eclipse Protocol hybrid build. This utilises high crit chance and damage, a lot of weapon damage and of course very high skill damage and status effects to ensure that we can basically have two different ways to murderize people. Now this is a PvE build, so this is designed to run with or without a team in heroic content. I haven't tested it in legendary yet, so I don't know how well it's going to work, but I know that the status resistant, the has pro in legendary is like 75%, so Eclipse is pretty useless there, but you know, I'm not going to knock it until I've tried it. But certainly in heroic content, I can pretty much guarantee that if you play this build correctly, you will not only be top damage every single mission that you try this on, excluding invaded because it isn't great against warhounds. You'll also be top kills. It's phenomenal. You get so many weapon damage kills and burn fire kills. Yeah, it's insane, and it really sort of enhances the strengths of Eclipse whilst factoring in the fact that since it's nerf, the range is a lot lower. So this is a way to almost make up for the lack of range that indirect transmission now has from Eclipse Protocol, and I promise you this works really well. So what I'll do now is quickly go through the build and then load into a mission. I'll try and get a group together to show you exactly how it works. Now there is a small disclaimer here. I will be building up my trophy stacks from the base of operations first and try and get some people into my server because this build is quite weak without them. I mean, I say it's weak, it's not weak. You can still just sit behind cover and apply your fire as normal, but we've only got one damage skill here, and this build relies on 50% of our burn and 50% of our SMG. And you know, obviously without your trophies you don't have the armor regen to keep you safe and so on, so please just bear that in mind. Alright, let's start from the top then. Whoops, or just go straight into my apparel apparently. So we're running Technician purely for the +1 skill tier. It does come with a very useful grenade, which is great for one of the few weaknesses of this build, which is against mechanical items. Your status effect actually impacts how long the status effect from your respective grenade lasts for, so depending on which one you're using, if they apply a status effect, having an Eclipse build just means it will last a hell of a long time. So it's a great way to shut down warhounds and turrets. And of course if you or somebody destroys that mechanical item, it does pass on the EMP to everything else in the room. So very nice grenade, but for the most part we're using this for the +1 skill tier. Because this is a hybrid build between SMG damage and status effects, we are using the Grudge. Now the Grudge actually fits very nicely into this build. There are some other great alternatives. Pyromaniac performed very well. And any sort of, you know, ignited weapon did fit very nicely into this slot, but I found that after all my testing, the Grudge not only benefited my damage more, I actually increased my damage numbers. Yes, I did run through the same mission several times to test this, but it also increased everybody else's damage, and that is really important with an Eclipse build because I've always treated them as a way to enable the DPS of your weapon-based players. So if you've got a bunch of guys sat there with an M1A and everything's on fire or bleeding or foamed, they're just going to have a better time. And you know, the Grudge kind of synergizes with that playstyle even more, as it gives us the perfect Vindictive talent. Killing an enemy with a status effect applied grants you and all allies within 20 meters 18% critical hit chance and 18% critical hit damage for 20 seconds. Now I can promise you that when you start to get your backpack trophies built up, you will be chewing through people with this SMG. This build hits hard, so it's very, very easy to keep nearly 100% uptime throughout an entire mission. Perfect Vindictive active. Yes, at the start of a mission, if your stacks are low, your backpack trophies are low, it doesn't perform as well, so please bear that in mind. You may want to consider doing what I do and just killing some ads elsewhere. I just do it at the base of operations first because it's faster, but just bear that in mind. We have rolled this to optimal range as opposed to damage to targets out of cover, and the only reason for that is that we do want to sort of maximise the range that we can use this at whilst retaining the same amount of damage. You never want to be right in the thick of it because fire chemming very close to you has a high risk of killing you. I know this from personal experience. I've done it far too much in testing, and I found that I achieve the highest damage by running optimal range because I can then shoot enemies with the same sort of damage at about 20 to 25 metres, which is not far off of AR range. I still do it a bit closer than that, but the point is that I can do it from much further away by rolling optimal range, so I would highly suggest that you try and get a roll similar to this if you can. I know optimal range is a bit weird for this build, but when you see it in action you'll understand. Secondary weapon is your choice. You know, you could try the pyro here. I've always liked the Sweet Dreams on Eclipse builds. You know, you can have a sniper rifle for longer range kill. It's really up to you. I'd pretty much never pull this out. And the same for the pistol. This is only a skill tier 5 build. The pistol would take it to skill tier 6, but it doesn't synergize with the build, nor do we need it. So honestly, run what you want here. What I think might actually be a stronger choice is the orbit pistol, because I can buff my own critical chance and damage even higher just by swapping to this. And yes, that does stack with Vindictive. So actually, I would recommend getting Finisher or Perfect Finisher here as well. And if you see somebody that's low health, just switch to your pistol and kill them. Eclipse Protocol, we all know and love this. You get 50 instant status effects, a bunch of skill haste and Hasbro, but most importantly, the indirect transmission talent that gives us the ability to transfer our status effects to all enemies within 10 meters and refresh 50% of their duration. Now this is buffed by the chest piece that I'm rocking, which gives us the proliferation talent, increases indirect transmission range from 10 meters to 15. This used to be 20. It sucks that they nerfed it in PvE, but hey, it is what it is. But it then refreshes to 75% of the maximum duration. So in terms of my burn, what's the duration? That's cloud duration. Burn duration, 10.7 seconds. There we go. Now that will increase as the backpack trophies go up, but ultimately, yeah, 75% of that will be transferred to the next person, and then 75% of that new lower amount to the next. So, you know, it's exponential. It gradually becomes lower. You want to run all 4 pieces in the exact places that I have them. Mask, chest, holster, knees, and every single piece needs to be rolled with high or max status effects. One of these 4 pieces needs to be rolled to weapon damage. Which one is entirely your decision, as you can now craft all of the Eclipse Protocol set from the previous season pass. Just craft it until you get one with ideally high status. If it's like 5-6%, don't worry about it, it will still work, and then just re-roll that to red and get that on your build. So every piece should basically look like this: max status effects, with one of them rolled to max weapon damage as well, or as high as you have in your library, of course. The reason that these 4 pieces need to be in this order, with one of these being red, is we need to have the Firm Handshake, which is a Sokolov glove that drops anywhere in game, that gives us 15% status effects. That's 50% higher than any other piece that could fit in this slot, so it's amazing. You want to keep this to weapon damage and roll either crit chance or crit damage depending on your stats, and I will show you what you need to aim for in a second, because we're not going for the 60% here, and there is a reason for that. Finally, the Memento backpack. This is obtained from the Season 3 TU11 pass, level 90. Just earn XP until you get it. Very, very easy to obtain. Gives us all 3 core attributes, which is amazing for this build. Gives us short and long-term buffs. This backpack absolutely makes this build. And, you know, when you get the backpack fully stacked up, your burn from your fire chem will be hitting about the same sort of damage as the firewall flamethrower. It hits, you know, 440 plus K per tick. It's insane. And at my old Eclipse build, it was something like 240. So we are talking ridiculous amounts of damage with this build. And this is not even factoring all of the extra damage you're about to get from your SMG. The long-term buffs, when you get all 30 stacked up, which I'm going to do at the base operations in a second, I will cut that, don't worry, will give us 3% armor regen, which is amazing for staying alive. 30% skill efficiency, which is basically 30% skill damage and status effects. So both the explosion, the damage, and the duration of this will be buffed. So this is like a triple buff for the fire chem. It's amazing. We get 30% weapon damage, which is fantastic for our grudges. Obviously, we only have 3 reds on this build as it stands. Yeah, it works really well. And then the short-term buffs. So if we have a look at how many yellows we have on the build, we've got 1 from the backpack, 2 from the mask, 3 holster, 4 knees, 5 technician. So it's a 5 skill tier build. We gain 25%. Sorry, I did say 30, didn't I? 25% skill efficiency is what I meant to say. No, hang on a second. Sorry, it is 30% from the long term, but we gain 25% from the short term. Apologies, sir, I got myself confused. So the long term buff is not impacted by your build, it's just based on the amount of trophies. The short term buff is. So 5% skill efficiency per yellow core, we have 5. And if you switch to a card pistol, you'd actually get a bit more, but that's a bit, you know, I won't worry about that. We're going to gain 10% bonus armor because we have the 1 blue core, and we're going to gain an additional 15% weapon damage on top of the 30% we already have from the long-term buff because we have 3 red cores, the chest, the gloves, and the backpack. So all of this stacks up to massive amounts of weapon damage and status effect and skill damage, along with the armor regen to keep you alive. Just means that this build performs very well. We are using the shield. You will see why I'm doing this in a second. I know what you're thinking. Why don't I just use bleed or a second damage skill here? That does work well. That was my original testing. But with the shield, I can get really close to enemies. And bear in mind, this is a tier 6 shield, so it's going to take a lot of heat. You know, I can get right in there and sort of do all those kills. And that is why we've rolled optimal range onto our grudge, so that we can get in there, not be too close, but still be fully protected. Because if you get too close, stuff can shoot you from the left and right where your shield won't protect you, and your 3% armor regen isn't going to save you then. You need to be in a situation where everything's kind of in front of you. So the optimal range on the grudge combined with the Crusader shield allows us to really just get in there and mow down everything to proc Vindictive. And then of course the Firestarter chem launcher that we have on the build just here. So just going back to the critical hit chance and damage of Vindictive, it's 18% critical hit chance and damage to ourselves and everybody else included. For this reason alone, you need to be speccing your weapon to be 42% or lower. Not too much lower, but definitely not higher. Because when you get that kill, which isn't hard at all with this build, that will go straight, in my case, 41 plus 18 is 59%. Now the cap is 60%, so if I had this at 42, that would be perfect. But if I had anything above 42, well, that would be a waste, and that is originally what I had. So what I decided to do was take those crit chance mods from my Grudge and swap them into critical hit damage. So I've taken a big hit on the chance here, but that's irrelevant because this is going to be 59% for the majority of the mission. So because I was able to put so much more into crit damage, with Vindictive procs I'm sat at 80% crit damage on a build that is, well, it's an Eclipse build. It's all yellow and skill tier and status effect and so on, and I'm still hitting near chance cap and 80% crit damage. That in conjunction with all of the weapon damage buffs I'm getting from the 3 reds here, the fact that these are Sokolov, so that's an additional 10%, all of the backpack trophies, both short and long term buff, mean that this SMG melts, pun intended, as long as stuff is on fire. It works so well. So yeah, that's the build. Screenshot that if you would like to. What we'll now do is load into a mission. I'm going to try and build up some stacks at the base of operations first, because I want to show you guys exactly the raw power that this build has. And yeah, I'll see you all on the other side. Here we are at the start of Lincoln Memorial. Nobody is match made in yet, but that's not a problem at all. We can still play this build solo. I've been able to get my trophy backpacks, my backpack trophies, sorry, all built up, so that's all good news. Don't forget there is a visual bug with it. It will show that timer is running out, the little mechanical arm symbol at the bottom there. Yeah, it works absolutely fine. I did have somebody join, which is why I've got a few bits of loot drop here, but they left almost immediately. I think because I was playing Eclipse and they wanted to, which is fair enough. Oh well, I guess all these guys will just insta-die. There it is, there's the Vindictive proc. Oh, these are hitting pretty hard. 362k, don't mind if I do. Oh, we have a chunga this time. This is going to be a really good test of the build. Get too close to me, won't pop his grenade, hopefully. Oh, get melted, buddy.
Got a visual on additional hostiles in the memorial compound.
There we go, there's the Vindictive proc again. So yeah, honestly, this works amazing in a team because you're just buffing everybody's chance and damage by it's quite a large amount. People sort of scoff at 18%, but they're getting that for free. You know, one of my buddies was playing a Virginian rifle build. He wanted to just test out something that wasn't an M1A for once, and he was hitting 10 million a headshot when Vindictive was active, which is obviously insane. And this is why I like the optimal range, so I can play safe. That's still on fire, nice. Oh, whoops, I thought that was another gun. Cheating to use the barrel, but I'm going to do it anyway. It's doing a much lower burn because it's from the barrel, by the way. You notice the damage there was only 72k. That is, yeah. Barrels aren't affected by environmental status effects, aren't affected by your own personal status effect stat. It's only your grenades, basically your ability to apply status effects. Although, if you're the person to shoot the barrel, it will still spread with indirect transmission, so there are benefits to you doing it, but yeah, the damage is pretty low. I just did that in a panic because I missed. That guy is definitely dead. As is this guy in a second. Let's get the shield out just to be safe here. And honestly, I feel that the shield really makes up for the lack of the second damage skill. Vindictive. It's so easy to get kills with this build. Oh. Ow! just a shame that the range is so limited now. So look, I mean, I guess that guy was miles away. Really, bro? Okay, I'll tell you what. Let's try and kill him without the fire. See how much this weapon can do. We've still got Vindictive active, so obviously when they're on fire you do a lot more damage, and if they stop rolling around like this, I don't know, I still kind of murder that guy, to be fair. This is the one place that Eclipse does feel weak, is when everything is so spread out that you're just not passing the status effects. How did it pass to this guy? I have no clue. But it's not the end of the world. That is what the SMG is for, and that is why I really like this build. So like now, I don't even need to set this guy on fire. I could just literally murder him. Looks like a boss there. Got his backpack, yes. Yes! Oh, he's not happy now. Such a good room for Eclipse. Once again, that optimal range coming in clutch there. Let's get the foam passed around as well. Oh, that was weird, it didn't actually... Does that not apply foam anymore? Or burn. Hello? See you later, buddy. Oh, they're blocking. I'm so confused. Where are these guys? There, apparently. Oh, look at that. 360k per tick. See you later. Not today, good sir. You landed right on the table. Catch everyone, by the way. Again. Look at that. I know I keep saying it, but optimal range is, trust me, I've tested this so much and it is definitely the way to play this build. Because you need to run the Sokolov Firm Handshake to get the maximum amount of status effects that you potentially can. Oh, look at that. Just pure melt. I know obviously it's nothing like a Hunter's Fury build, but this is way more fun.
Immediate medical assistance needed.
Chunky boy ticks. I'm walking to the fire. Yes. Oh, sucks to be you, brother. Oh, insta-dead. Not having a good day, are you? Oops. Oh, look at that burn. He is getting schmelted. Pun intended. Got the backpack as well. There it is. See you later, buddy. Coming out for this one. Oh no. This guy's fire immune actually, isn't he? He is fire immune. I have no Vindictive clocks. Okay, okay. Let's see how well this does then. I think, is he fire immune until I get his backpack broken? That's how it works. Here's how it works.
Good work.
Oh, look at
Go on
that.
and head back up. The team from the campus is taking
And we got a
position inside the
tardigrade, just to
memorial.
top it all off. It wasn't a Ridgeways, which is a shame, but we'll take the tardigrade. We'll never say no to a tardigrade. Right, there we go. So that's the build. Let me know what you think. I love how this build plays. I love that I can fill in all the extra damage from the missing range with an SMG. I love that I'm buffing mine and everybody else's damage. I really enjoy the fact that I can run a tier 6 shield with 3% armor regen and just get in their face. It works really well. Let me know your thoughts in the comments, and until then, I will see you all in the next video. Peace.